Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Yeah.
$100 bill here.
And I'm the rookie.
I'm the deal maker.
Oh, boy. Wow. So today's episode is episode 83. Naomi picked the episode name today. So what's the name of the episode today, Naomi?
The name of the episode is It Legal?
Yeah, I called it, Is It Really Legal? Is this really legal?
Right.
Yeah, is this really legal? So
Is
why
this
are we
really
doing,
legal?
Why are we doing the show?
We're doing this because we get some feedback and people wonder, my goodness, this must be too good to be true. I haven't heard about it. It's not common. Is this really legal? I heard it's not legal. How do you,
Yeah.
So.
I don't think you hear that a lot, though, do you?
Not a lot, but I do hear it.
Yeah.
That would just be from scared people.
It would be from scared people or uninformed people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Uninformed scared people.
Yes.
Well, I don't blame you because it's when you embark on something that you're not sure of, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So,
you want to make sure it's legal. And the other thing too is some agents out there, which I have spoken to some of them, say, "Oh, that's illegal." Now they're uninformed. They don't understand what's going on. But these agents, are also telling other people that, "Oh no, that's illegal. We can't, you can't do a lease purchase thing," which is so uninformed. But
Right.
if they're not familiar with it and their ego is getting in the way, rather than saying, "Gosh, I don't know," they may just say, that's illegal.
Good. So a couple things I want to cover. First of all, I have the caption that we normally have on Facebook. But Pete, this is kind of like being 50 years old and going back and dating your first high school sweetheart, isn't it?
What?
With you and I right now.
Why?
All we're doing is a podcast right now. We're not doing any Facebook. There's no cameras. There's no lights. There's nothing. It's just like we used to do when we first started.
Yeah.
Back when the podcasts were all.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Remember that?
Yeah. We're just sitting out on the back porch right now in our shorts, just video taping this.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You wish.
In
yeah,
that 30
if I was, I'd be freezing.
30-degree weather. Yeah.
Ice everywhere today.
It's Thursday. I came home Friday night and haven't been outside since.
Wuss.
Yeah. Haven't had a cigar or nothing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
I noticed the car was parked in the garage.
In the garage, yes.
Yeah, that's a good day to park in the garage. Everything else is a frozen popsicle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I just want to read the description and then we'll go on because there is so much I want to say about is it legal.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. You probably heard it before, but we're going to do it again. So here's a description. Because this new era investing is so simple, the legal beagles run and hide when we show it to them. Agreed?
So agreed.
Prove it to you today. In this podcast, we're going to cover why some believe creative real estate investing is the best solution for making the most money on any transaction. Okay?
Why is that?
Why do they make the most amount of money? We're going to cover that too.
All right.
Because you're creative.
That's right.
So
Creative is a good thing.
So we'll get back to some deal structuring. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was going to say details. There. I was guessing details.
I figured out what it is. What? I actually know why I do that now. I figured it out.
Oh.
Yeah, because what happened...
you're old.
No, it's not that. I'm not going to let you tell me that
you're
anymore.
You're copying me.
You're trying to tell me that I got to take B1 and I got to do prostrate tests
B5.
and all this stuff. No, I'm not accepting that.
Good for you, Bill.
It's because it's
Bravo.
an intersection. And honest to God, it's an intersection. It's like I have 5 thoughts collide together at once and I'm trying to sort it out and then I get confused.
Clutter.
Okay, if you want to call it that, that's fine. But it's like... you said something, Naomi said something, and Pete said something, and I said something, and they all collided in the middle, and I'm like, oh, which one am I going to handle first?
That would be the best
you
time
want
to
take
hypnotize you. Did you know?
You want to take notes?
No.
Create confusion and then put the subliminal message in there.
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of confusing. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about with this is that actually, before I go ahead, you want to check it? Go.
Oh, no. I'm sure it's not important. Oh.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not important, but you
Oh.
checked it anyways.
That's very sweet.
Oh, boy. It's a girly thing. So, no phones on the podcast.
All right, turning it off.
There's a little button over here that makes it go away. Bing. And I forgot to turn it back on for 3 days. I wonder I'm not getting my message ding dings.
So the first thing I want to cover is that has nothing to do with this episode other than I just want to make sure that people that are listening understand where I'm coming from, and if they don't agree, they can send in a support ticket and we will change it. But this is the absolute truth. This podcast has one reason and only one reason in my head. It's to help people understand more about what we do. It's an entertainment for us. We like to joke around. We have weird humor. We understand. We're from, at least I do, we're from the Northeast, and we have different humor than the rest of the world. I understand that. But it is what we are. This is real. The way the podcast is performed is always been the same. Like 15 minutes before the show, I come up with a title. And then you guys don't even know what it is until I announce it on the air.
And we just go with it.
And we just go with it.
Yeah.
Because I want it to be 100% improv, because the reason for this podcast is a way for our listeners to kind of follow us around in life. Now, if you notice through the weeks, we have different connotations of what's going on. Sometimes we're closing deals. Sometimes we're buying deals. Sometimes, we're in the middle of deal structures that aren't going so well. And they come up in the podcast. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, though you guys, when you're listening to the podcast, get a lot of information because we hide nothing, okay, other than the names of people that are involved because we don't have their permission to talk about our sellers or our buyers. Other than that, we pretty much disclose a lot of stuff on the podcast. Mm-hmm. Do you guys agree?
Oh, yeah.
It is not meant for you to, become a real estate investor and be a full education program. If you want that, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. Flippinghousesforrookies.com. There's some courses on there. They're not very much money. Go buy the courses and get the full education. Or send me a support ticket with information if you feel like I'm missing something or if we're goofing around, because every once in a while we get a report that we're goofing around too much. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of downloaders.
Yeah.
People that download this podcast. So I just want to be clear what the purpose of the podcast is that you're just, it's improv. This is what we're like if you were in a car with us going to a deal. This
shop talk.
Yeah.
This is shop talk.
Totally right. If we were out to dinner, this is how we would be. It's just how we are. And we're doing it for you guys so that you can see how investors live. And in the meantime, pick up little nuggets. You said to me this morning, the best thing that can happen is we hang around together.
Yeah.
Right? Because when we're together, things happen.
Oh, that's great. Let's go have lunch.
We're having lunch today, Naomi.
All right.
Naomi doesn't eat.
I do, too. Did you not see those kale leaves
lettuce.
Upstairs?
Kale chips and lettuce.
Along with the chocolate brownie?
And you vegetarian vegans cheat. I don't eat meat. I just chomp on sugar and candy and desserts.
I think he's jealous. Do you want to be a vegetarian?
That's what it is, yeah.
You're jealous.
So anyways, I just want to clarify that. Not that it's even a problem. I know that you brought it up that there was a couple concerns about that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be very clear that that I am not trying to mislead you, or this is an educational podcast by Pragmatic Matters. Mm-hmm. It's just how we do things.
People do learn things from these podcasts. To the point where they've done deals on the little nuggets they've picked up here and there.
Well, to your point.
But it's not the step one, step two. That is
this
why
is not a seminar.
Right. That is why we have the educational arm of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
Right.
This is shop talk. This is to get you in that mindset, because mind is huge.
Right. So, what you're saying is important, because believe it or not, for the one person that will complain about there's too much chit chat, there's probably 10 people that will email me and said, I bought a house. What do I do? Based on the information.
It's awesome.
Easier. It's for the one person that says, and I shouldn't even be addressing it, to be honest with you.
Right.
But I just want to address it because we hadn't done it in a while. Pete and I started this thing, I don't know, 500 years ago, it seems like.
How about 80?
Back in grade.
How about 84 weeks ago?
Yeah.
What you said earlier is back in grade school, so you two are pretty
Yeah.
young pups.
There you go.
84 weeks is.
Yeah, exactly. So I just want to make sure that's clear. So if you feel like, and I don't charge enough money. I don't charge thousands for education because I got the Henry Ford model going. I believe everybody should have it. Henry Ford believe everybody in the United States should own a car. I believe everybody in the United States, if they want to make money with real estate, should be able to do that. And my system, I have 4 or 5 more videos to do, and the new software, the new course is going to be out, and then it's going to blow up. I mean, I've got people all over asking me about it.
Oh, yeah.
Texting and emails and messenger and
It's so informative.
Yeah, it's very
I purchased a course that was a little over $2,000, and it did not give the same amount of information that you were giving in that one-day seminar.
Yeah. So the course will be done online. That'll be ready probably next week or the week after, because it's all ready to go. I've been passing out links to people around me to start beta testing. I know you got a link and you looked at it, Peter, and said that you liked it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a link? Did she
Yeah,
send you a link?
I messaged you about it.
Oh.
Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
very, yeah.
So I'm going to just end with this, and then we'll move on with the show. Okay, so if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, that's our new website. The old website was flippinghouses.club. We still have that website, but the new website is flippinghousesforrookies.com. Flippinghousesforrookies.com. Go there. There's a couple courses there you can get, or if you go to flippinghouses.club/workshop on the 24th of February, we're doing a live workshop in Wallingford. Okay? Which, by the way, excuse me, by the way, if you come to that workshop and you're live in the room, one of the bonuses I'm going to give you is the course.
Oh, wow.
So you're going to get the course and the workshop the same day. Okay, so just go to flippinghouses.club/workshop. Okay, that's February 24th, 128 Center Street, Wallingford, Connecticut. And if you're outside of Connecticut, you have to be outside of Connecticut, you can actually get a live stream link, and we'll get you in the room. Okay?
Wow.
So I'm telling you, this podcast is not made to promote stuff like that, but because I'm getting people asking about it, I have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't, yeah.
All right. So is it legal?
Is it legal?
Is what legal?
What
Yeah,
we do.
It.
I mean,
It's a pretty big word.
yeah, is, $100 bill, purchasing properties for $100, and then, like, there must be something shady with that.
Right.
There must be something going on
Buying
there.
properties with a $100 deposit?
Yeah. I mean, that just doesn't even sound legal.
Right. So what's shady about it, what's shady about the entire thing, is if I were to come to you, Naomi, and say, you got a piece of property for sale, how much would you like for it? Give me an answer.
I would like $500,000, please.
And I say to you, if I give you $500,000, would you sell me the property today?
I sure would.
Okay, here's how it works. And I tell you about an option agreement where I can actually sign this piece of paper, and I would like for you to give me 90 days to go find a new buyer. Because the buyer is going to bring the money to the table and actually give you your $500,000.
Weren't you a real estate agent then?
I'm not.
I'm confused.
About what?
About, So, because don't you have to legally be a real estate agent to find a buyer? I
Right.
think that's...
So just be the owner right now. If you were the owner, would you ask that?
Probably not.
Okay. I've never had anybody ask me that. But what the answer to that question is a realtor would ask 6 months. And you need to continue paying all the bills and the expenses until I find the buyer, because the buyer is going to bring the money to the table.
Right.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay, good. So I'm going to do the same thing, except I want to do it in 3 months. I have a question for you, Naomi.
Yeah.
Do you need the money right away?
I would like it right away, but
Okay. What if
Yeah.
I were to get you a little bit more? Would you wait like maybe a couple years to get all the money?
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like what? Maybe 510,000, 520,000.
Maybe 525,000.
So if I gave you 525, you would wait 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you see what I just did?
Yeah. You turned it into terms.
Turned it into a terms deal.
Yeah.
So now, how hard is it for me to go find Peter, who has a good income?
Mm-hmm.
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm a what?
A lawyer.
I'm a lawyer?
Lawyer.
Wow.
You're a lawyer.
I was going to be a lawyer.
You'd
Yeah.
have been a
I
good
was.
lawyer.
I was going to be a lawyer. But my father's lawyer
Mhm.
died really young. I said, forget it. Must be too much stress. Like, I changed my mind.
Oh, there's a whole podcast right there. Watching one scenario and making a full judgment call off of that one
I was
scenario.
12.
But it had a deep impression on you.
That's right. Did.
Clearly.
He didn't look happy in the first place.
Ah.
So I'm a lawyer.
The eyes through Peter. I mean, I'm
The
sorry.
world- the
No,
world
world through the eyes of Peter. I forgot the first part
Through
of that
the eyes
sentence.
of
World-
Peter.
Mhm.
That's right.
That's what I meant to say. Through the eyes of Peter, yeah. So you make money,
Yeah.
but you just got divorced, and she raked you over the coals, man.
Yep.
Took you for everything you got. Okay, but
Bang.
you got probably 25 grand saved up.
She doesn't know about that.
Yeah, exactly. So would you be willing to come in and buy this property from me, or buy this property from Naomi, put $25,000 down, and pay rent until you can get approved for a mortgage, and I give you 24 months to do that? You think you could do that?
Yeah, I'd like to do that
Yeah.
because I can't get a house right now.
Right.
And I'm used to being in a house.
Right.
I got kids I want to bring over on the
Right.
weekend from the divorce.
Right.
Maybe a dog.
Oh, well, they might bring the dog. She
Yeah.
got the dog,
Yeah.
but they might bring the dog.
She got everything.
I might get the dog on the weekend too, the kids and the dog. But yeah, I would like that. Otherwise, I'm stuck in an apartment, and then 2 years goes by before I can get something.
Right.
I could have it now.
Right. Okay, so
Hmm.
I'm going to take the option that I got with Naomi that I paid her $100 for,
Mm-hmm.
because she agreed to sign a document. I gave her $100 to consummate the deal. And then I brought you that same deal and said, how about I give it to you, but you give me $25,000 for it?
How much is the house?
525,000. No, 550,000.
550.
Yeah.
That sounds like a little more than asking price or more than the neighborhood. Sounds like a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then maybe you're not my buyer.
Well, I can't get anything else.
Right.
This is a nice house.
Truth of the matter is we have comps in the neighborhood at about 540.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a little bit more, but not a
Mm.
lot.
Well, I'm kind of stuck without a house, so
Right.
I can't be too choosy. If it gets me in a house,
For 2 years.
yeah, it's worth it to me then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to close on the property right now and come up with $525,000, right?
Yeah.
And you paid your mortgage payment over the next 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think you would get back?
In equity?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, being at the front end of the 30-year mortgage with mostly interest payments and a little bit of principal, 5 or 10 grand?
Oh, no, not even close.
Really?
I
Not
don't
even-
think you'll get $5 or $10.
Well, some of it's principal.
Not very much. Pennies on the dollar. So what are you really losing?
Mm.
I mean, you got a $525,000 mortgage,
Yeah.
right? On a 30-year note, amortized,
Mm.
right?
Yep.
It's a lot of interest. We'll do the math if you want.
Yeah.
But the point is this. You're not paying hardly anything on principal. So the position I'm putting you in, am I really putting you in a bad position?
I'm not losing that much. Well, I'd be paying rent anyways.
Okay.
And I'm not gaining that much equity.
So let me ask you this question: if you get a $525,000 mortgage, it's not an FHA mortgage, right?
No.
FHA meaning government. It's jumbo mortgage, right?
Yeah, not at that level.
So how much do you got to put down on the jumbo mortgage?
20%. I have to put down $100,000.
I'm asking you for 25.
Yeah, you're right.
Is that stuff? The fact that I'm giving you a rent immediately, which isn't cost you any more money because you would pay that to the bank in interest anyways. So you're really throwing the money away anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm allowing you 2 years to come up with the rest of the down payment money and get a favorable mortgage.
Yes, I'll need the rest of that percentage.
Is that worth anything to you?
Well, the important thing is I want a house to get my kids in.
Right.
So.
And you don't have $100,000 to buy it.
Nope.
And you don't have credit to buy it.
Nope.
But I'm going to help you do that over the next 24 months.
Well, I guess that's what I'm buying for that extra couple of bucks.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, sounds fair.
See what I'm saying? These are live conversations we have with people.
Yeah.
It's something like this too, just like what we're doing.
Right. So here's my question. Because it's not a question, it's a statement actually. Because I bought the property on an option agreement from Naomi, and I used a $100 deposit, and I negotiated the terms with her up front, and she allowed me 24 months to pay off in full. She allowed me to go find my buyer to use my buyer's money. I don't need to have. I don't need to have. What do I need to have? I don't need to have anything. The deal is done. Right. I promised Naomi $525. I told you $550. I kept $25,000 for myself, and she knows it. I told her.
Mm-hmm.
So $550 minus $25,000, she owes $525. I mean, you owe $525. I give the $525 to Naomi, right? When you cash out in 2 years from now, Naomi's getting $525. So Naomi got extra money. I got extra money. I mean, and everybody, and you got a house that was really worth its value.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit more. But we helped you because your life was whatever your life was. And I'll have you know, that's 81% of the United States right now is in that position.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
81%.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done a lot of terms deals. It's just turned out that with renovations. But I had a guy on the phone looking at a $200,000 house. He had $400,000 in 401k. He could take 10% of that easily, $40,000.
Oh yeah.
And no credit.
Yeah.
Okay, no credit.
Yeah.
Because of the divorce.
Yeah.
A good job, a great guy. This guy was in New York, wanted to come out to Connecticut.
Yeah.
And I want to say this because I want people to understand that this is not just about houses, the deal, the dollars, the money in your pocket. This guy wanted to come to Connecticut with his family. He didn't want to be in New York anymore. Nothing wrong with it. He just wanted to be here.
Right.
And while he was in New York, he's one of these guys that would go on bridges and fix stuff and like climb up high things and not scared of heights and managed to do that.
Oh wow.
He ran into a burning building one morning on the way to work because nobody else would and took 3 people out of there.
Wow.
That's a nice guy.
Wow.
He deserves to have a nice house in the country if he wants with his kids. And he couldn't figure it out otherwise except for this kind of situation. So you're really helping people. The buyer, the seller, yourself. How about a win-win-win situation?
There's a lot more going on than just the numbers. It's people's lives that you're helping.
Yeah.
And people that can't sell their houses on the market. You know, there's so many properties out there all fighting over that 19% of the qualified buyer. And give them the upper hand. Let them help more people. Let them benefit from a seller's market instead of a buyer's market. So.
Yep. Pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah. Here's even more wildest part.
What?
So, what you guys are saying is very sincere. It is my sincerity. If I could help somebody, I will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're close to me, you know I volunteer time. I give away money. I'm always about helping.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not even whatever. That's just me. I don't. Up until recently, I never talked about it because it's like just what I want to do. Okay. So. The interesting thing here is though, because we used the option agreement and I became an equity owner with Naomi, I was able to sell to Peter without having a realtor license because a realtor has no equity, right?
Mm.
So the reason why they have to have a license is because they're handling the earnest deposit money. If they didn't handle the earnest deposit money, they wouldn't need a license.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why they have a license is to protect the earnest deposit money,
Exactly.
because the earnest deposit monies would get stolen or used by mistake, or I mean, when you do 2 deals a year and you take a earnest deposit money, it's likely that you might want to need that money to like buy groceries.
Right.
You know?
And I think it's important to note that the option agreement document has been used for how long? Hundreds of
I
years?
was just getting there, yeah.
Yeah.
So here, let's do this first, though. So if we do this transaction, a $500,000 piece of property,
Yeah.
does the realtor get a commission?
No.
Okay. Does the closing agent or attorney get a commission?
No.
Does the insurance guy get to write a new insurance policy?
No.
Does the title clerk or the title guy get to write a new policy?
No.
The title insurance? Here's one that just came into my head. I didn't even think of this until just now. I should kick myself for this. Is there conveyance tax paid?
No. Yeah.
A little $5,000 sum.
Yeah, that would be in the state of Connecticut. That would be $5,000.
Yeah.
$250 at 525.
1%.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 5250. That's the money that the state and the town would split. Would they get that money?
No.
Okay. So, if these people aren't getting paid, then why would they tell you about this?
Why would they even
They
learn
would
about
not.
it?
They would not even take the time to, like Pete said, even learn about it.
Okay, now let me ask you
Definitely.
this question. So, if they found out that we were doing it, what do you think might be the first thing that they might say?
It's illegal.
There you go. Why would they say that?
I think for a few different reasons. Number one is affecting their pocketbook.
There you go.
Number two, they simply don't know about it. So since they're an attorney and they don't know about it, it must be illegal.
Right.
Number three, I think it's misunderstood.
Right.
So lack of knowledge. Number four, the ego. So if they have an ego, and rather than saying, let me check into that, which would, make the other person feel that, oh gosh, this attorney maybe doesn't know everything in the world. It's much easier to say, oh, it's illegal, to
Right.
give it a BS answer.
Right. Pete, can you do for me, and I'm putting you on the spot, I don't know if you could do this, can you do for me, I don't remember the word at the end. When we used to do lectures, you say, draw a house, draw this, draw that, and then...
Yeah.
and Can you do that real quick?
Oh, sure. Okay.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to envision in your mind, or even grab a piece of paper and a pencil, and actually do this, because this is an amazing, I think, an amazing lesson that we're going to bring to full circle here in about 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, so first thing, imagine, or if you have the paper, draw on a piece of
Right.
paper a house, just a stick house, like you're in first, second grade. Just draw a stick house, little roof, boom.
Got
Okay.
it.
Next to that, draw a little tree off to the side,
Actually,
either side.
Why don't you get the paper there, Naomi? Why don't you do it?
Then I can watch.
The
imagine
artistic
folks
one.
at home doing this.
Yes.
So Naomi draws a little house, like
Yeah.
a square with a triangle on top, and it's a house.
There you go.
And you,
There.
and you put a tree off to the side. She has a door on hers and 2 windows.
You're going ahead of the point.
Okay. And a little tree off to the
Easy,
side.
easy. Just do what he says.
I am. It's just the tree might be a little more.
Oh, that's very nice. Okay, up in the sky, there's a few birds flying in the background.
So draw some birds.
It'll go ding, 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 ding.
Good.
And the sun is shining in the sky.
So draw a sun.
Wow. And off to the... It's nice. And off to the other side of the house, draw a dub. Naomi, you just now draw a
happened?
dub, Naomi. Like, listen, we don't have time to fool around in class today, children. We don't have time for this nonsense. Just draw a dub.
I don't know what she's drawing, but
She's drawing a
it looks like
that
a
is
creature.
not a dub.
It's got fangs and long hair.
That's incorrect. That is incorrect. Flunk. Incorrect. You did the wrong thing. You are fired.
Peter, what is a dub?
Oh, a dub? If you look in a dictionary, you'll find that it's a small pond or a puddle. It's a word. It's a puddle. Now draw a dub. It's a puddle or a pond. Now in the front of the house, we have a pond. See now how much easier that is. Why didn't you do it the first time, Naomi? You're disrespectful and disobedient.
Okay, so
Bad student. Bad.
So
go to the office. Go see the principal. Out.
Here's the point. Okay. You were very creative, very certain. Matter of fact, you were drawing more than what Peter had asked you to draw.
And notice it was the fear aspect.
You weren't afraid. You were just moving right along, and you were creating the picture, right?
I sure was.
And then you hit a misunderstood word or a non-comprehension.
Non-compute.
And you froze. Right?
For only a moment.
Yeah. And then you
drew the wrong thing.
And then no pun intended, but you dubbed something in. Right? You like imagined something and made it up. A monster.
I made up a monster.
You made it up.
I'm sure there's some deep psychological issues going on there.
So, you think this doesn't happen in life? In people's jobs every single day? You think the production isn't affected by misunderstood words?
But you see where my mind went to. With a misunderstanding, it went to the worst case scenario. Yeah. A monster big enough to eat the house.
Right.
I didn't even try to do that. My mind just auto did that.
Right.
And I think that's human.
Bad. It's
Right.
bad.
It shows human nature. You don't understand something. Oh, this is going to be,
Right.
So.
And that's exactly what happens when we train people is they get stuck on something. They don't even know they misunderstand it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know the manifestations of a misunderstood word, what your mind does when it has a misunderstood word, because it's like saying to a fish, look at that water. The fish says, what water? It happens so much to them, they don't even know that it's happening.
Right.
They don't even know there's manifestations there. They're just so natural. They think that's just a natural thing. And they had a misunderstanding or a concept they didn't get, and they're imagining things to replace it with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So what's going to look what happened to your picture?
Yeah, there's a big crazy creature in the pond.
Right. It wasn't the desired result, was it?
Sure wasn't.
No, when you don't understand a word correctly or the correct definition as it's being used, you will, if you try to do something, it will be wrong. If you try to use that word incorrectly understood and apply it, it will be wrong what you do. By the way, I looked up dub in my phone dictionary just to make sure people can find it. You have to go down to definition. Word 5 is like 5 different words, not just definitions. The fifth definition, the fifth word, pool, water, puddle. 1500, obscure origin, chiefly Scottish.
I was going to say Irish.
Yeah.
Scottish.
Yeah, but that happens a lot. Just educationally, and you try this at home. Grab your kid, grab somebody studying something, and they're having trouble with it. Just ask them any words. Take the cover of the book. And what does science mean? What does social studies mean? What does arithmetic mean?
Mm-hmm.
What is geometry? Real
What is
estate?
the word? Well, let's just do this. We'll put you on the spot.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. We've been.
You got a word in mind? I got a great one in mind. What do you want to do?
So, what is the word? What is the definition of the?
Did you say the?
The.
T-H-E.
As in T-H-E. It is not. That is a great question. What is the definition of the?
It's a specific thing.
Yeah.
It's called a definite article that points out a specific thing, as opposed to an indefinite article pointing out any one of a few. Give me a pencil, a book, not the specific one.
What's the definition of a?
An indefinite article.
I just did that one. But you know what I was going to do?
Okay.
Real estate.
Go ahead.
Real.
You mean the word real?
Especially the real part of real estate, because I had in my own mind what I thought it was, and it's not at all. Real estate.
What about fake estate?
It's not that. It's not even the opposite of that. You know? It's the weirdest thing.
So what is real?
Well, I thought it'd be like it's real, like it's actual,
yeah.
instead of like paper or stocks or things that are just promissory or paper notes and stuff. Option. It's not real, like it's solid. It comes from regal, meaning royal. Because only rich frickin' people had any of this stuff in the old days. You had a hut, a tent, a shack, but they had the real houses, those castles and really nice houses. So it was royal estates. It was royal, regal property.
Right.
That crazy?
It's regal
I had
with
no
the G
clue.
taken out.
I didn't even know why I looked at it one day.
Right.
Did you tell me to look at it?
Yeah.
It was you, because I had no idea. I just assumed. Real. Everybody knows real. Isn't that crazy? So we're talking some pretty regal stuff here. Some pretty royal palace castle.
And it's so interesting how that word...
home is a man's castle.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
So you think you know something. You don't know the first word we're studying. You and a lot of people listening. Just me and Bill and 3 other people somewhere.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, yeah, but... I
now,
mean,
it might not affect it horribly, but you never know when you got something wrong, and it will affect it horribly. Some things, you don't want to take a chance, get them all straight, and you won't lose it.
I'm gonna touch upon something I shouldn't touch upon here, but I got a word that I just can't understand, never could understand, and never will understand. Psychology. Psyche means the soul. Ology means study, and it's the study of the soul. And I took psychology classes when I was in high school, and they don't believe you have a soul.
First thing they tell you, there isn't one.
There isn't one. You're a meat body.
Wait a minute. I thought, but...
Wow.
A whole industry for 100 years is based on the word psychology, study of the soul, and they teach just the opposite of it. You're not a soul.
That is bizarre, because emotions, can you see emotions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is so contradictory.
So why do they get away with it? Because people have misunderstood words.
Yeah.
You want to know how bizarre it is, and then we're going to get off this topic. You know how bizarre this is? We have human beings, especially in the United States, have so many misunderstood words that we're not. Well, first of all, let me ask you this: how many years of school did you go to? I was going to say college, but how many years of school did you go to?
I'm always in school, so let's see, 30 something. I won't tell the actual number.
No, seriously, how many years of formal school did you go to?
12.
Okay, 12.
Yeah.
So you went through the 12th grade. Okay, did they tell you to study?
Yes, they did.
How many times?
As often as it took to know what I needed to know.
Okay, did they actually show you how to study? Did
No,
anybody
they
teach
didn't.
you how
I
to
had
study?
I had to learn that myself.
So is it any different than what just happened with that picture where we took the word dub, they made a monster there, so you invented something up yourself, right?
Yes,
So you invented how to study, right?
I did.
So let me ask you this question. Did you study for application or did you study for memorization?
Initially, memorization.
So you could pass the test.
That's right.
And then you grew up and got out of high school and had to make money.
And then it
then
switches.
Application had to switch.
Right. Right.
It went from memorization. Well, the stuff I'm memorizing doesn't work in the real world.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't. In fact, I've found that the more you try to do it via memorization, the worse. You just have to do it.
Right.
That is the best way. You will mess up.
Right.
Or you might not. You might be like you, who, on your first, it doesn't have to be real estate, but whatever you're doing, just get out there and do it. Ask a lot of questions, which goes back to when people are saying, dub, then I would, in that case, say, well, what is a dub?
But we're taught not to ask, and if you do ask, we don't have time to explain every word and define every word. We just have to get through this class and keep moving. Don't ask. And can I get a dictionary? Nope. And that's a quote.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Right.
But at least when you're doing something that you want to do, whether it's art, music, real estate, learn how to sail a boat, learn it.
Yeah.
Take the time.
All right, so let's continue with this. So how many people out there do you think would have misunderstood? Now, you went and learned things now, right?
I did.
And you're sitting here with me now because you've learned real estate,
I did.
right? I'll guarantee you that we could, if you did exactly what I told you to do and not use the information that you're bringing in here, we would close twice as many deals. I'd bet $1,000 on that right now, especially your sales techniques, and you got good sales techniques. But if you did exactly what I did and used my verbiage and did exactly the way I did it, we would double our closing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it's because I did it. It's just because I tested it. I sat in front of so many thousands of people, and I know what their responses were.
Right.
It has nothing to do with me other than I was just there and did it.
Right.
Right? So our education system, I'm sorry for hacking. I've had the flu for a couple of days, and I'm trying to get over it. Actually, I am over it. Just haven't talked this much in 4 days. In our education system, the kids are taught just how to read and write, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But once they learn how to read and write, what are they taught? Why does it take 12 years to do that? Right?
Well, I'm not sure they really teach them how to read.
Well, they teach them how to read the words. They don't teach them how to understand.
Really
them,
understand it, yeah.
them.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
So my point is this: how many invented things are happening in those classrooms? So why aren't there people like me who are successful at something going back to the grade schools and teaching kids the success?
Exactly.
Because you learned your success after you left high school.
Correct.
You realize that, okay, so I learned whatever, and then I had to go out into the real world, and you're like 30-something years old, right?
Right.
And you're still learning.
Always learning.
Because you didn't get the correct education when you were in school. Now, not that the education is bad. I'm not saying that we shouldn't educate our kids, but we could do it a little bit better and a little bit simpler. And throwing money at it from the government is not a way to do it.
Right. I completely agree.
Government doesn't know how to run anything.
They're bureaucrats.
Well, they know how to run.
They know how to throw money at things.
Yeah,
They don't know how to make money. They know how to spend money. That's
Right.
their solution.
Right.
If they knew how to make money, they'd probably be business people.
You know, I'm 54 years old, and it took me a long time to figure this out. Wow, we're really profound today. It took me a long time to figure this out. I actually figured out the difference between a businessman and a guy, because I was wondering about why when Trump got in, the big thing that was a concern is that he's a businessman. If you're a businessman, you can't run the government. Did we hear that for like forever?
Sure did. Yeah.
You know what the difference is? I finally figured it out. It popped in my head one day. I didn't even know why. But it was really bothering me.
What did you figure out, Bill?
A business has goals and plans and profits.
Yeah.
The government doesn't.
Does not. Yeah.
And that's the difference.
It's almost like they're operating on the defensive versus what's the offensive, what's our plan, what's our goal, what's our objective.
If politicians actually solved the problems in this world, then what would they do? So they don't want to solve the problem. They want to keep getting their appropriations and getting their money, and that's what they want.
Exactly. It's the same line of thought of the construction workers that work for the city, and they have a certain amount that they can spend that year. And if they don't spend it,
that's right,
then it'll get cut the next year.
Right.
So they make up things to
keep their salaries.
Yeah.
So let's back up. So I started by saying this society has so much misunderstanding because we breed that. We're inbreeding right now with our education, right, system. It's so bad that we actually have an actual industry that reaps billions of dollars a year off of this phenomenon.
Yeah.
Want to know what the industry is?
I think I know,
Go
but
ahead.
I think it's the industry of education and entrepreneurship.
Nope.
No?
You mean the bad education?
Yep.
Oh, you're talking about the college. Yeah. Yeah, get
Nope.
your degree.
Nope. Yeah, well, that's true.
Okay, you have me stumped. What is it?
I wasn't trying to stump you. It's attorneys. What an attorney?
I wasn't guessing that one either.
An attorney is an index of words. The reason why you hire an attorney is so he could read the words and understand the law, and then go in the courtroom where they take that law literal and defend you.
Right. Right.
Because you don't understand the words. How many times have you been in court? And I think this happened with everybody, and it didn't go the way you planned.
Yeah. Yeah.
because they have a piece of paper. The judge got a piece of paper in front of him, and the evidence or whatever's on there, and it's very literal.
Mm-hmm.
And the law, this, and all you had to do is just read it. And if you understood it and completely comprehended it, then you wouldn't have been in trouble.
Right. But it's even deeper than that, and this is kind of for the attorneys, in a sense. With case law, it's almost like law is constantly in flux. So an attorney that's familiar with case law, not all of them are. A lot of them have the degree, but they don't take the time to actually become familiar with case law. They can take a law that, that's definitely a law, right? But if they know about a case where it was ruled on differently, that's a huge hook.
It still has to do with words.
Words and actions.
If the person that committed the crime or is part of either the plaintiff or the defendant, one or the other, understood all that stuff themselves,
right,
and they studied it and could duplicate it,
right,
they wouldn't need the attorney. They could defend themselves.
True. But they would have to have an understanding of how case law could affect them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different level of it. I'm just talking about in general. Okay.
Yeah.
So, no offense to attorneys, they have a nice index of words. They understand language.
Yeah.
And it's the more. My point is that had our community not had so many misunderstandings or confusions about things, the industry would not be as prevalent as it is now.
Yeah. I think that things are going in that direction with websites like LegalZoom, and there's other websites to the point where it's sort of known in the legal industry that if you're kind of like the family attorney, your industry is going to be lost probably in the near future.
Good. So let's back up. We're in 2018 right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay? Let's reel back to 1950. How many attorneys do you think were back then?
I don't know.
Think there were as many as there are now?
I don't think so.
You talking per capita even?
Yeah.
I don't think there was, but there weren't as many people as there.
No, that's what I'm saying per capita though.
Well, I can tell you this much. I grew up in the 70s. I'm 54 years old.
Yeah.
And I never heard on TV racial slang like I hear now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, if there's certain things that I were to say right now on this podcast, it would be considered
Unpolitically correct.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Or
politically incorrect.
Politically incorrect.
Political correct.
I think I said unpolitically.
You did.
So
you caught it.
I just in a different sort of way.
Yeah.
Yes.
The point is that it's being allowed more and more, right? And these are very old fashioned things. I shouldn't be saying some of these things, but there's a difference between making a decision based on logic and making a decision based on feelings. I'm from old school. I was learned put your feelings away, do business. You got your toes stomped on, live with it.
Yeah. Just do it. I couldn't agree with you more.
I could not. Somebody called you a name. Get thick skin, son. You're not going to make it if you don't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I grew up. I'm not saying, but my kids are not that way. My kids aren't that way at all. So, anyways, so let's reel it back around. So 1950. Okay.
1950.
I'm assuming. Now, I wasn't there in 1950. I was born in 1963, but I know this much. It changed in 1963 when they shot Kennedy. The world kind of shifted. The whole 60s was a big change, right? And it got more and more liberal.
Yeah.
Right? Not like with liberalism, but just liberal. In other words, people stood up and said, my feelings are hurt. And they started going to court with that. Okay? Instead of suing for a broken finger, it was, I cried and I should get a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all my point is. Okay?
Yeah.
And today it's gone too far the other way.
Way too far.
So now I feel like America cannot speak. America is hidden. America cannot speak, because if it did speak its own feelings, good, bad, or indifferent, then you can get sued.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much different now than it is in 1950.
Yeah.
Okay? So also in 1950, about then is when the Realtor came on board. Right?
Yeah.
Prior to that, how did real estate get bought and sold?
How we're buying and selling.
Exactly.
It's been around for a long time.
So there was some guy in Mayberry. Remember Mayberry, the Griffins? In Mayberry, Virginia, right? Which is where it is. Mayberry, Virginia, that says, "Oh, Naomi, you have a house for sale?
Sure do.
Yeah, would you let me sell it for you? I know some guy."
Okay.
Yeah, run over to Pete's house. "Hey, Pete, I know somebody that's willing to sell their house."
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. See how it works?
Here it goes. Here it goes.
Now, what happened is because the legal, like the options and leases and all that stuff, in today's world, that stuff is much tighter because our legal system is much better.
Right.
Back then, we didn't have the things to worry about like we have now. They didn't even know they could be that way.
Right.
Because they didn't worry about, humanitarian type things, like rights, people's rights, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So back then it was looser. So what's happened is the way we do business now is more legal than ever, because the attorneys have made our documents really tight. They took the 1950, 1930, 40, 50 concept and used those simple forms, and now they're tighter than ever. And that's what's happened.
Yeah.
So you ask, is it legal? It's more legal now than it was 100 years ago.
Yeah. Than ever before.
Because 100 years ago it was a handshake.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You know why it was a handshake?
That's what they did back then.
How many people knew how to read and write back then?
Not as many. I don't think, was school even mandated 100 years ago?
Right, exactly.
I think,
So,
people get pulled off to work the farm and things like that.
My parents made it to 5th, 6th grade in the old country. That's about all they had.
Yeah.
Got here and made it work, but not
so
so much.
I want to just clarify
They really
that.
shook
So-
hands because they didn't have, like,
Well, I think
they
they would
didn't know how to
do.
write.
I think they would do an X sometimes or something.
anybody
but
can do an X. Is that your X?
Yeah.
The point is it was just a
Yeah.
different environment. Now
Yeah.
it's a different environment. Now, back then you shook somebody's hand and he kept his word.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays they won't even shake your hand because they don't want germs. Right? Never mind keeping the word. Forget that part. A lot of people don't keep their word these days.
It's really sad.
Yeah,
You have
man's
documentation
integrity
and-
is not something. Yeah, so they try to legal it up.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we wouldn't need all the legal up if people were more honest then. would they?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't have
So-
laws unless you need them.
So it's 100%. It's more legal now than it ever was.
Yeah.
That's all my point is. And by the way, we knock education. We don't knock. They at least now people know how to read and write, and society's better. That is a good thing. The thing that we knock is that some it's a camouflage hole. When you teach somebody how to read, that's good, but having them comprehend is the real purpose. The purpose of an education is the ability to apply. Application. So if I'm going to teach you how to buy and sell houses, I fully expect that someday you'll come to me and say, I want to do it on my own. And that's a compliment to me. Right? Do I want that? Of course not. But it's just the way it is. But I know I've done my job.
Yeah.
Right? Because now I know you can go out on your own. That's how I got here.
Yeah.
Somebody else did that with me. You know what I mean? So, we really kind of didn't talk a lot about real estate today because we kind of got into it. But when you ask me if it's legal, this is what's behind it.
Yeah.
Because the people that don't want us to do it are going to say it's not legal. It's too easy for them to say it's not legal.
Right. And just know I didn't have the question myself personally, but the question was presented to me. So
that's fine.
I felt it's good to have a chat about it for people.
So
for our
if
listeners.
if we broke it down in parts, the first step would be the option. That's legal.
That document.
There's a document.
It's
and
illegal.
you can look it up in a legal dictionary. Option. It's used.
Exactly.
That part's legal. Then a person gets a lease.
That's
a lease
legal.
is legal. It's a lease.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the option is a contract agreeing how much you're going to sell and for when.
Mm-hmm.
The lease is a contract for the usage of the property.
Mm-hmm.
So they're two separate things.
Right, and that part's legal. I'm just looking at the parts of this. When somebody says it, the parts.
And you want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
If you go ask a realtor, a good realtor, for a lease option scenario, they can produce those documents.
Mm-hmm.
A good realtor, a knowledgeable realtor.
Can produce those
Most
lease option
realtors
documents.
do not. Most attorneys do not. No.
Mm-hmm.
But it's absolutely.
So
100%.
So what other parts is there? Then the person pays the lease, he pays things, and then at some point he can get his own mortgage and buy the house,
That's legal.
and that's
Right.
legal.
So realize that the option agreement, well, the lease is an occupancy agreement. So that has nothing to do with anything buying the house. That's just saying you're letting them use it till they pay. The option agreement is just an agreement that you decide how much you're going to pay in advance and by when.
Mm-hmm.
Once that happens, you don't use the option agreement to buy the house. You actually want, so once you came, Peter, and said, I got my money, I want to buy the house.
Yeah.
We would need to write a purchase and sales contract.
Mm-hmm.
And the purchase and sales contract is the roadmap for the legal beagles to get the deed from Naomi to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's gonna delineate or clarify the terms that Naomi's willing to do to give you a deed. One of which is give her $525,000.
Yep.
And she's going to promise that you give her a warranty deed. Excuse me, a warranty deed means she's warrantying that there's no liens.
Mm-hmm. It's a good title. It's clear. The deed is good.
When she passes it to you, nobody's going to chase you.
Yep.
Yep.
That's pretty much what it
And
means.
that's legal.
No stories.
That's totally legal.
Yeah.
Right?
There's only a few parts to this, and each part is legal.
Is legal. And it's
That's all I'm
been
pointing out, because
fully gone through.
Now, there is one thing that I have to clarify. It's at the end of the show, and I should clarify this. I've gotten a support ticket just recently. This is not legal in Texas. Okay, now I don't live in Texas, but I did some research on it. This is 100% legal in Texas.
Oh.
Except they're a fee simple title, which I'm not going to explain, but it's a fee simple title, which means there's a lot of red tape around the lease options. So you can do it, but there's a tremendous amount of red tape. So I strongly don't advise you do lease options in Texas. What I sent the girl that sent me the support ticket, I sent back to her. Believe it or not, it's so weird. It is the weirdest thing in the world to me about Texas, but in Texas, and we could maybe get Phil on one day and talk about this, because he does this all the time and he would know exactly how to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's enough people in Texas that send me support tickets, I'll get somebody from Texas that does this. I mean, last time I checked with him, he had 37 or 38 houses doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
So he knows how to do it. So if there's enough people send me support tickets, we'll get them on the hook. The thing is, they're really strict with these lease options, but they're really easy with foreclosure. So you're better off to just pass the deed, because you can foreclose down there in like 3.5 seconds.
Jeez.
I mean, it's like crazy. I mean, it's the opposite here.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. It's a judicial foreclosure here, which takes years and years sometimes.
6 months anyways. So, and it's got a 6-month redemption period too, which is another process. So here's what I'm saying is, just if you can do owner financing and just get the deed, because you can evict somebody. If they don't pay 1 month, the next month they're gone. Okay?
It's so simple.
But if for some reason somebody doesn't want to pass the deed and they don't want to do that, then you can do what we call it a bond for deed in Connecticut. In most parts of the country, it's called a land contract. So that's the way you would deal with a lease option, because it's a land contract. Basically, what that means is you're going to write a contract. So Pete's going to write a contract to Naomi saying, I'm going to pay you $525,000, and I'm going to pay you so much a month. And it's pretty much everything that a lease says, except it's one step higher than a lease agreement. It's got a little bit more legalese to it.
It's like if you do this step, then you buy the house.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
all the steps leading up to. And
No,
it's not like
no.
What?
If you do this step, do this step, do this step, I'll give you the deed.
Yeah, but it includes things like paying me.
Yeah.
And there's time involved. It's not like you go to the closing and one day it's done. It goes over time.
Mm-hmm.
So you understand that buying the house has nothing to do with this. You get that, right?
At our end,
No. At any end. Buying the house has nothing to do with this.
to do with what though?
Any of this.
Well,
Buying the house has nothing to do with it.
Okay.
It's all paper.
Yeah.
So it's not buying the house, it's she's going to give you the deed.
Right.
Has nothing to do with buying the house because the lawyer has nothing to do with buying nothing. The only thing he wants to know is to get Naomi's attorney's like, for me to give you this deed, here's what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if Naomi says, okay, well, I'll sell you the house on owner financing, I'll take $30 a month for the next 15 years and then give me the money then. The attorney has to write it up that way. Has nothing to do with the financing. So buying entails financing. Now, what we're talking about is a deed transfer from one person to another person because that's how real estate works.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get that concept in your head, then deal structuring becomes a whole lot easier. Because am I acquiring the deed? Because you listen to me when in the live meetups. Am I acquiring a deed or aren't I?
Right.
Because there's a different mode. Do you notice that? It's like ugly house, pretty house, acquiring the deed, not acquiring the deed.
That's right.
Right? Those are the distinctions. And actually, ugly and pretty house really don't make it. Lately, I don't even think about those anymore either. It's a matter of am I acquiring the deed or not? And if I'm acquiring, the only reason why I would want to acquire the deed, what's the only reason to acquire a deed, Peter?
Well, you can't spend any money on the house if you don't have the deed. I'm not paying for somebody else's house.
Right.
Exactly.
So the only reason why you're acquiring the deed is because you're going to put assets in and you want to protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, you don't need a deed.
Right.
What do you need a deed for?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not putting any money into the house, you don't need a deed.
So is it still a pretty house? Pretty much you don't need the deed in a renovated
It just so happens that you're better off to buy a pretty house that you don't have to put money into, and then you don't need to acquire a deed. That's why you chase pretty houses.
Mm-hmm.
There's more money in the pretty house business than in the ugly house business ever thought of. And like 1/10 of the work.
Much
They're harder to
quicker.
find.
Yeah.
They're a lot harder to find. You're going to work at finding those.
Mm.
Because the ugly houses are easy to find. Right?
Yep.
Yes.
Pretty houses where people are willing to wait for their money is not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about this. Think about the person we were talking about this yesterday, the person that's a owner finance person. They have a savings account.
The house?
Whatever, say it's a $200,000 house. That's a savings account to them.
It's a piggy bank.
Yeah. So, like, one day he wakes up and says to his wife, Alma, I'm tired of the snow. Okay, Floyd, what do you want to do? Let's move down south.
Get the hammer. We're going to smash the piggy bank.
How are we going to do that? Well, I got a few bucks in the savings account, he said, but let's just sell the house and let's just go down there.
Yep.
So what does he want the money for?
To move.
To go down there.
Yep. Run into it all the time.
Right? So it's a savings account. And if you realize that, it makes your negotiating much different. Because you realize that it's a savings account. So when they say, okay, my wife and I decided we're moving down there, Naomi, what can you do for us?
We can make that happen. When
Right.
do you want to move?
So we want $200,000. Give us a $200,000 and we'll just get the heck out of here. We're going down there.
Okay, we'll give you the $200,000.
If Naomi,
Here's how it works.
if Naomi doesn't ask, how are you going to do it? And things like, do you have enough money that you can buy a house down there already? And you start asking questions like that, you won't make the right offer.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to find out what they're doing. Do you need the money from this house to buy that house?
There's a reason that this guy had this house for 40 years and didn't tap into that savings account. He had this savings account for 40 years and didn't tap into it. Why all of a sudden today he's tapping into that savings account?
Ice.
Well, little do you know, his wife was recently diagnosed.
Whatever.
And
My point
so
is
on.
that you got to find that out.
Exactly.
There's only 2 reasons why somebody sells a house. Only 2 reasons. No more than 2. 1, they need money, and 2, it's a problem. It's causing problems in their life.
Yeah.
Like mom and dad died, and I got to go there every weekend and take care of it, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Those are the only 2 reasons why somebody would sell a house. A, they need money, or B, it's creating havoc and turmoil in their life, and they want to go back to their regular life. Right?
Right.
Husband and wife get divorced. A year later, she meets somebody else. She's living with the guy that got 2 houses. You know, she wants to go back to school.
Well,
Right.
that's a little difficult with 2 mortgage payments.
No, I can afford the mortgage payments. We both got good jobs, but I can't go over there anymore and take care of that house. I got to go to school instead. You know, I spend a couple nights a week over there, a couple days a week over there. You know what? I want to move on and go to school. I'm happy here. Everything's comfortable. I tested it out with my blah, 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 blah. I'm going to sell the house. See that?
That works too.
So she said, I don't need the money. So now what problem do we solve for her? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how about
She
the
doesn't
guy?
have to
How
take
about?
care
I
of
know
it.
it's the end of the show and we're over here, but how about the guy that we're moving down south?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Floyd, do you think that maybe you could just? How much do you think you'll need down there? Well, I found a nice condo down there, and I could probably get down there for about $80,000. So if you had $80,000 for the condo, you'd be happy. You'd be in the same position. I need at least that much. Okay, good. How about you take $100,000 equity line on your house, and I make the payments? Would you consider doing that? What do you mean? You explain it to him. Just that simple. But it's because you had to understand why first.
Right.
Okay? Now I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to make a very harsh statement. There's not a realtor I know that does that.
No. Nope.
They don't ask. I mean, if they ask why they're selling the house, they don't dig in like that. They're not. If the realtor just slowed down a little bit and tried to help the seller solve their problem, they could be an amazing asset to the industry.
Right. I mean, that is in realtor training to find out the pain of why. It's just a lot do not.
Right.
There's a few that do, but
Okay.
a lot do not.
So the last thing I'm going to say about that, and then we'll get off the air, is this. I know for a fact if you are a realtor, if you are my realtor, and you're negotiating a deal with Peter, am I allowed to talk to Peter? Not usually, unless the realtor's there and mitigating, mitigating the conversation.
Absolutely. Realtors like to talk to realtors. They don't like to talk directly to the...
So if I say to you, Naomi, Peter offered me $180,000. I'll take $150,000, but you can't tell him that. So just do the best you can, okay? What are you obligated to do?
You can counter offer. I mean, you don't
Not
have
tell
to.
him.
There you
Not
go.
tell
You're
him 150.
obligated not to tell my intention,
Right.
my motivation.
Oh,
You can't
right.
disclose my motivation.
You cannot. Yeah. You have a responsibility not to.
There you go, right there. That one thing kills the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, rightfully so. I can understand it because if that wasn't there, then you would go sell the guy short.
Right. Right.
So it's a way that they have to monitor people that don't understand the business.
Yeah.
And most realtors don't understand the business. They understand how to get listings and how to take a deposit. And that's cool. But don't expect more than that, because when a seller goes to them, they're looking for a consultant.
Yeah.
And they aren't that. So we fill that gap.
Definitely do.
We are those experienced people that fill that gap. There is a screaming vacuum in this industry for that alone. And just that is to actually have real estate consultants. Yeah, that's the name I've been thinking about. Real estate consultants. Yep. It's a whole nother industry that needs to evolve. We just need it because there is not enough of that.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. The reason why a real estate consultant doesn't exist is because they are not considered a legal entity and can't be put on the settlement statement at the closing and get a check. So a real estate consultant needs to be a licensed entity that runs the closings. And that will come someday soon. So is it legal? It is more legal than ever right now. But it's an old-fashioned way of doing business because I'm going to tell you, prior to 1950s when the Realtor came on board, this is how we did business, like you said earlier, for hundreds of years. It's two people making an agreement, putting it in writing, and executing it, and being honest. And there's nothing the matter with that. Over and out. See you next week.
Over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.